Hey folks, Jackdaw here. The 2023 release date of Baldur's Gate 3 is quickly approaching. Luckily for eager fans of the epic party-based role-playing game, Larian Studios has released an early access version of Baldur's Gate 3 on Steam that allows players to get their hands dirty with an unfinished but fully playable first act. And today I am exploring whether or not it's worth buying Baldur's Gate 3's early access content right now at its £40 price tag. I'll go over the pros and cons as well as my experience with BG3 in early access so far, all with the hope of helping you make an informed decision on whether or not it's worth picking up BG3 right now or if you should wait until the game fully releases next year. As a quick preface, I started playing BG3 in early access this year, therefore my experience will reflect the majority of the most recent patch updates, like the addition of the Barbarian and Bard classes, the Gnome class, and so on. So taking this away, briefly, let's explore what Baldur's Gate 3's early access content encompasses and what players can expect. Since October 2020, Baldur's Gate 3 has been in early access on PC, receiving constant updates over the years, allowing players to create characters of different races and classes while exploring the majority of the game's first act, either solo or with up to 4 other players online. Solo players will love the chance to team up with up to 3 playable companions on their adventure, while co-op players can share the mayhem of questing together. Either way, Baldur's Gate 3 adheres and offers a variety of ways to play, adapting to many different playstyles. The first act of Baldur's Gate 3 in early access is extensive, offering players at least 20 to 30 hours of content with a meaningful story and plenty of role-playing opportunities. Of course, there are flaws and bugs that still need to be worked on, but the early access build provides plenty of content, including exploring lands, questing, conversing with NPCs, killing monsters, and general role-playing. It's an absolute blast. So should you play Baldur's Gate 3 right now in its early access? Let's go over my personal pros and cons in an attempt to help you decide. Starting on a positive, one of the best aspects of BG3 in early access is the chance to create your own distinct main character, exploring a wide variety of classes and races in the game's fantastic character creator. You can customize your hero at a very meticulous level even right now in early access, suiting many different facial features, hairstyles, backstories, subclasses, perks, and so on, truly defining your own character. And that is just the start. The character creator will have even more additions and customizable aspects when fully released. Essentially, the early access offers a sneak peek into what each race and class combination is all about. You're able to discover which playstyle you prefer the most before the official game releases with its entire content. For example, my first playthrough was a solo Eldritch Knight Noble, and I've grown overly fond of Jackdaw Bourgard. I've created an entire background for him, and I'm really excited to continue that playthrough when the game fully releases and I can recreate him again. And that goes for many other characters I've experimented with in the early access content. It really does provide a space where you can create whoever you'd like and evaluate so many potential playstyles. With a vast open world, custom characters with unique skill sets, and a branching narrative based on choices, consequences, and constant dice rolls, you can play through the early access content 100 times and never have the same experience twice. With so many systems to toy with and explore, the game has been developed by some of the industry's best and can be enjoyed by RPG gamers of all type. However, one of the major drawbacks is the fact that the custom characters that you create in early access won't transfer to the full game. In fact, they won't even transfer to major patch updates throughout the early access's development. You can only play as your character in the given update state they were created in. Like, I legit can't right now go back and play as Jackdaw Bourgard because he was created prior to the latest Bard patch update. And so those 20 plus hours of content and the experiences I had with him are just gone. I have to create a new character if I want to enjoy Baldur's Gate 3 right now in early access. And obviously this is very frustrating for many reasons. One, for RPG fans who love creating many different OCs and enjoying as much of them as possible, like me. Again, like I said before, I made a whole backstory around Jackdaw Bourgard, and now I can't even play as him anymore. I have to wait until the full game game is released in order to then recreate him and play the game throughout. And 2, when there's new early access content following a massive patch like the Bard and the Barbarian, I cannot hop on a previous save and experience that content. I have to restart the game every single time with a new playthrough. And in that case, the early access content is more like a glorified demo because you can't continually play as the same character throughout each update. And it's just very frustrating. However, I do understand why. This game is in early access for a reason. The developers are ongoingly developing it, and therefore a hard reset is required for new content. Now, I know for a fact that if BioWare did this with Dragon Age Dreadwolf and they released it on early access and we'd have to create a new character every single time but we get 20 to 30 hours of content, I wouldn't be complaining at all. It's a great way to solidify the main character that you would like to play before the game does come out properly, trying out different classes and even just getting an idea of the story. So in that light, I can understand both sides to this. Let's move on to another point. One of the most fun elements of BG3 in early access is that you can play the game with up to 3 friends, enjoying the adventure as a party of illithid infected heroes. The game is built to support the vast choices and consequences that each of you can make, and there are many systems that are in place to encourage a collaborative playstyle is maintained. For example, the combat is tactics based and requires thought and attention for each scenario of the vast amount of classes and characters you can make for fighting enemies. In dialogue, there is a sort of pinging system in which your friends can vote on the dialogue they would like you to say, and you can see that. It doesn't do anything beyond showing you what they think. It's not like a telltale voting system. It just allows for your friends to have a slight input on the discussion that you're having and maybe sway you differently. And there are many more beneficial systems in place for navigating the sort of playthrough you'd each like to have together. Alternatively, you could all just be bastards and ruin every chance you have at making friends and building allies, instead ending up killing everyone. Like me, Lisa and Lambo. Once you've played for the early access content once, I would encourage you to play it again in co-op with a bunch of friends, because you'll have an idea of the story and certain key moments in it, and you can do things that you wouldn't have done on your first playthrough. For example, I made a macabre, nihilistic drow bard who ended up doing a lot of evil, mean shit. Whereas on my first playthrough, I was a nice and friendly knight, helping everybody and gaining a lot of brownie points with people. Playing with friends is honestly an excellent way to enjoy the early access content right now. It offers a completely different experience from any other playthrough, and I would say it's the most definitive way you can experience Baldur's Gate 3 right now in its early access stage. You and your friends can share your own unique banter as you navigate a completely unique playthrough. Okay, so moving on, another huge positive of early access is that you are helping Larian Studios excel and develop the game for the better. You can offer genuine feedback as the studio progresses through development. Yes, you are paying to get this advantage. However, your purchase will provide the full game at launch. As somebody who genuinely cares for the games industry, I really like this system and I support Larian's early access method. It's a very unique way of doing it, especially with an RPG to this scale. However, we do have 20 to 30 hours of content to go on right now, and we're also supporting the team as they crack on with the game, offering any feedback and support that they need. With that said, the final disadvantage of the early access content is that, of course, it is not the fully finished game. If you're going in expecting to play Baldur's Gate 3 from beginning to end, you're going to be disappointed. You are only paying for the first act of the game at the moment, with the full game promised once officially released. This is an obviously understandable disadvantage. You're not getting the full game right now, and the content that you do have, your character save is unplayable with every patch update. There are bugged levels and quests throughout the content as well, and there is only a select amount of content to play right now. If a lot of these sound like red flags to you and you're getting kind of bad vibes from it, I would say that you should probably hold off on early access and wait till the full game is released, so you can have a very much enjoyed playthrough. However, to those like myself who love creating many different characters, messing about with friends in an RPG fantasy setting, and also just want to support Larian Studios as they endeavor to create one of the best, most definitive Dungeons and Dragons experience in a video game, I would wholeheartedly say you should check out Baldur's Gate 3's early access content right now. You're gonna get a bunch of content that you can sink your teeth into in a world filled with moral ambiguity as you combat mythical creatures throw many dice and converse with many interesting, diverse and fantastic NPCs. Ultimately, while I can understand your desire to wait until the game is released before you do play it, I encourage you that you do not pass up the opportunity to play Baldur's Gate 3 when it does officially come out. It's okay to pass on the early access, but do not sleep on BG3. As a fan of Dragon Age and BioWare games as a whole, I know you will enjoy the living heck out of this. In any case, it's up to you now, folks. The ball is in your court. I would love to know what you're thinking down below. Are you swayed enough to check out the early access content? Have you already played it? What do you think about it? Or are you going to wait until the full game launches next year? Let me know what you're thinking down below. But of course, for all your things on Dragon Age, Dreadwolf and Baldur's Gate 3's development as we follow them both to their release, you're already in the right place. I've been Jackdaw and I should go.